and make it full screen. Yes, we're good. We see that?
I can see it.
Okay, let me minimize our faces. Okay, so what on earth is a personal brand is the question you may be asking. I put together like, just off the top of my head, what would be the 10 steps that I would recommend that you take to really like understand what personal branding means and start to build yours if you haven't already. How does this move? Like that. We have this fabulous quote by Dave Buck, who I don't know who he is, but he says that your brand is a gateway to your true work. You know, you are here to do something, to create something or help others in some way. The question is, how can you set up your life and work so that you can do it? And the answer lies in your brand. When you create a compelling brand, you attract people who want the promise of your brand, which you deliver. And I love that last part of the quote because, and this is something that I do rant about a lot, is that very often you have the big promise, but then you don't have the deliver at the end. And it's extremely important for your brand. I think we'll go into it a bit later as to, maintaining your reputation and being known as someone who promises and steps up and delivers. So your personal brand identity dictates everything about your business, and that comes from the feel of your logo. Everyone always goes straight to thinking about logos, and it is logo, but there are other things. There's the way that the language that you use when you're captioning an Instagram post. I mean, I'm thinking straight away of Helena's captions on Instagram. I always love reading them because her personality shines through. And you don't have to overthink it when, thinking of like, what is my brand? It's something, it's all these little things that add up together. It comes across in, like, I do Zoom discovery calls with prospective clients, and you're already giving over the feel of your brand in that first call, that first touch point. And things like, companies that you buy products from that have taken the time to personalize their tissue paper and put little stickers on when they're wrapping it up, rather than when I first started ordering online in Israel and they would just dump something in a recycled box. That it's a totally different feeling. Yes, and how you handle disgruntled clients. We'll talk about that in the next few slides. It's all these things that begin with V. There's your voice, your values, your vibe, and your visuals. So that's a really easy way to remember it. It's how you make people feel. Your personal brand is how you make people feel every time that they experience and have like the touch point with you. Oop. So, and very often we're very busy with keeping all the plates spinning and keeping the business going. And we're telling people what we do, but we have to take that step back and think about, okay, that's what I do, but how about like how we do it and why we do it? And I'm sure lots of you have read the Simon Sinek book of Start With Why. That's what it's called, isn't it? Oh, but this is so this is the golden circle concept that was developed by Simon Sinek, which says that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And just an example that comes to mind is a company that makes these handmade soaps, and there's this whole story behind it. I'm sure the soaps, they smell amazing and they get you really clean, but that's probably like most soaps. But I was so hooked on the story of, the why that was behind it, the story of how they came to make soap as a family kind of thing. So that why is the juicy part. And that is something that you really need to do in order to start building a clearer picture of what your personal brand is. Why won't it move forward? Move. Oh, I think I went 2 pages there. Right. So when you are building up your brand and you're building up your business, people do want these genuine connections. We hear a lot about know, like, and trust, and some people argue that you don't have to like the person, you just have to know and trust them in order to buy from them. I think that the like part is super important, and you need to build that experience for your potential clients and customers that is going to, that's going to tip them over the edge when they're making that decision of who they're going to trust and who they're going to buy from. At the end of the day, they are experiencing you. You are the brand. So here we go with the list that I made. Number one is to know your values. Now, I have my values written down on a digital post-it note, and I honestly, I do this a lot. If someone comes to me with a proposal of, work with me on XYZ, or maybe we could do it this way or that way, I run it through these values. Mine are creativity, impact, joy, connection, and curiosity. And very often someone will put something to me and I just get a bad feeling about it. And it's because it's just not ticking boxes. And I like it to tick at least 2 of those boxes. I said that I was going to post something to the chat. I wrote a little reminder for myself to post something to you guys, which is a list of how to choose your own brand values. Wait, I need to get back into here. There we go. Did I do it or did I break it? Are we back?
You didn't break it, but nothing's come to the chat.
No, I haven't put it in yet. I'm going to put this link into the chat. There we go. Okay. So that's a really, really worthwhile exercise is, when you're building your brand, start from what are my values? Does anyone here know what their values are? They can unmute themselves and tell me. Anyone? No. Okay. I gave you a chance. Right. So that's, I would call that step 1. I don't know if these necessarily go in order, but that would definitely be the place to start. Number 2 is being a real human, because we can smell fakeness a mile off. I put here that if you are tea drinking, book reading, nature loving, flat shoe wearing, which is me, introvert, coffee as well, don't show up online trying to be a party going, red lipstick and high heel wearing, wine drinking extrovert. And that's what I did when I started 13 years ago. I tried to be all the things to all the people. It's confusing for people. It doesn't feel genuine because it isn't genuine, and it doesn't get you anywhere, basically. Number 3 is to be consistent. And I mean this in 2 different ways. I mean this on the level of deciding what your vibe is and sticking with it. And that's not just choosing your brand colors. It's also decide how you're going to write your copy. What kind of, when I first started in networking groups, I started randomly in an English networking group, and there was a lot of swearing that went on, a lot. And I thought, okay, in order to get in with this group, I need to be really sweary. But that just wasn't me. And I wasn't going to be able to consistently maintain that. So that really made me take a step back and think about, okay, what's my vibe? If it's not a sweary vibe, what is it? And then the other part of the consistency is just consistently showing up online. And I put here that maybe I'm judgmental, but if I see that someone hasn't posted anything online to social media in 4 months, I make a very quick assumption that maybe they're not in business anymore. Debbie's nodding. That's good. I like nodding. It means you can hear me. So you don't have to drive yourself mad, turning up. I use Instagram more than I use Facebook, so I'm giving that as an example. I don't make myself turn up and post to my feed every day because I tried it for a month and I hated it. But I'm consistent. I keep it going. I keep it moving. People know that I am there, and hopefully I stay front of mind. Number 4 is to study how other people do it. And I mean this from a place of inspiration, not obsessiveness. We don't need to spend all our time being in someone else's garden rather than watering our own flowers. But, at the same time, finding people that inspire us, and they don't even have to be in the same field. It's just I like how she does that. That feels true to me, and that feels genuine, and that's impactful, and I like how she did this sign up to her mailing list. You know, I've been inspired by people who are coaches and nutritionists, and none of them are really doing what I do, but I've got so many ideas from watching how people launch, for example. So yeah, studying how people do it is just an ongoing thing. And again, that will tell you a lot about what you want for your brand. I can see there's a message in the chat, don't know if it's for me. Ilana Rubenstein's answered. Thank you. Professionalism, integrity, and results. Like that. Right, so studying how other people do it. Let's get to the next page. Come on, we can do it. So there's a lot of discussion about this in the groups that I belong to about storytelling, and this hesitancy to share stories because people feel that when they open up and they are vulnerable, people think that they are flawed and not fit to run a business. I think that is unfair, but I think that you have to be careful about, like I said, you don't have to share all your dirty secrets and tell us about the latest arguments you have with your kids, but you will benefit from setting some sharing boundaries. I feel my boundaries are like, if it's not mine to share, then I'm not sharing it. So that's like mostly, you know, anything that's going on with my kids. You know, I do share pictures of my little one on my stories quite a lot, but I'm sure he doesn't mind. Yeah, so you know, you decide for yourself what it is that you want to share and what's relevant to share. Like if I share a story about how I once had a nightmare client who pushed all my buttons and pushed my boundaries, and here's what I did, I think that's really useful because that happened 12 years ago, and here I am, like with completely like different, like my contract is based on her, and you know, like there are many lessons that I've learned from this very, very difficult client, and I think that's really kind to share that because there are people that are at the beginning of their journey that are going to learn from you. So I definitely am a big advocate of storytelling, and you do it within your comfort zone. Number 6 was a hard lesson to learn. I don't know if I'm alone here and taking a long time to get to it, but don't be afraid of failing. I mentioned a while back that I climbed Kilimanjaro 5 years ago, and I was terrified after I signed up because I just thought, what have I done? Like, what if I don't get to the top? And there was that famous quote everyone always posts of, what if I fail, but you know, what if you don't? You know, what if you make it? And what if you do pull this off? And okay, if you don't, like, you cross that bridge when you come to it, but don't let that hold you back. You know, failure isn't fun, but it's totally necessary. And if you fear it too much, you just don't get out of your comfort zone. And we all know that growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. I mean, I have tried so many different ideas of how to sell my services online, because being a photographer, I'm selling my time, but I also wanted like a different avenue to be able to work with people online, and I came up with so many different permutations until I got to where I am now, and lots of them flopped, and I'm really happy that most people don't remember it. So number 7 is to show your authority. Yes, it is important to be humble and don't be a show off, but there's nothing wrong with saying that I am an expert in, although I haven't said those words yet, but you know, but positioning yourself as an authority of someone that knows something. You know, there was a post in iWen yesterday about some kind of equipment, buying a microphone, and someone who is an authority in that area gave a really, really good answer as to, you know, and it was really obvious to her what kind of microphone you need for each thing, because she has, you know, she's built that body of knowledge that to her it feels like obvious, but to us we have no idea. So you have all this. Oh, I've given an example. Maybe you're a nutritionist and you have a really great way of freezing bananas that stops them from sticking together. So make a video of it and share the heck out of it and repurpose it and do a live about it and let people know, you know, your wonderful banana hack. Don't keep it to yourself. Although I do know how to stop bananas from sticking together. that was number 7. Now, number 8, whew, I think I touched upon this at the beginning, is to look after your reputation. And that's things like, don't burn bridges, watch how you deal with people in real life and online. Make sure that you know the difference between a reaction and a response is the most like critical part of it all, because we sit at our keyboards and you see something that, you know, read something that you disagree with. It's just to, again, keep saying take a step back, but it seems to be sound advice to take a step back and say, okay, what are people going to think about me, and what am I going to think about myself? How am I going to feel about myself for writing what I've written? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And people will associate what you write with you and your reputation. So that takes us to number 9, which is having a vision. I have always found this really, really difficult, but it is a key part of the brand building, is to know, where are you going? What are you aspiring to? Where is all this heading? And I think that question is one of the hardest ones to ask, but it's something really worthwhile to try writing down and refining, because otherwise you tend to be kind of throwing some mud and seeing what sticks, rather than being super focused. Hold on, is there a chat that I missed? Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. I missed it a while back. Okay, and then number 10, we hear this jargon of the USP. I'm assuming everyone's heard about USP, your unique selling point or your unique selling proposition. Again, quite a hard thing to come up with, but something to work on. You know, what would make someone pick you over all the others that are like you? And a really useful way of figuring this out is to go back, if you have client testimonials, to go back and look at them and see how you make them feel. Like, do you make them feel like they're in safe hands, for example? That's a really big one. People want to know that they're being taken care of and that they're in safe hands. Like, okay, I've handed my money and my life over to you. I want that reassurance for you that you've got me, kind of thing. And I did this recently, and also if you don't have testimonials, that's a really good habit to get into. I recently asked this question on Facebook. I posted those 3 questions. What are my strengths? What do I excel at? And what makes me unique? And then I cringed pressing send, but I knew it was like a really important exercise, and it was really fascinating to see the responses. And like I wrote at the bottom here, I guarantee you that the people who respond to your questions will give you answers you would never have thought of yourself. That is the end, and I would love to have questions. Questions? No.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was fantastic. Do you want to stop sharing your screen?
I do, yes.
Does anyone have any questions for Sarah?
No, I like questions.
Answered all the questions.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going.
I'll take a stab.
I have a question.
Yeah, I'll let Ayala go first, but I'll take the next one.
I can let Jaco go first. I mean, I can.
No.
Okay, well, first off, I'd love to know what are some of the reactions to that post on Facebook that you were surprised about, and then also how you use that moving forward.
Yeah, so it's I mean, I took screenshots recently of what people said, and it's really useful for when I'm writing posts, because I know it's not just either it's not just in my head, someone's confirmed it, or someone's pointed out something that I didn't even think of it like that, kind of thing. So let's find one. Versatility. Like, okay, that's a word that I'd never used to describe myself, but yeah, I guess that's true. And capturing the essence of a person, not just taking a picture. Adaptability, being open, having an open and inquiring mind, These are all very nice. Being empathic and understanding what it means for people to feel overwhelmed. So that is gold, definitely using that, you know, focusing on that word overwhelmed, because that's a big part of my process, whether I'm helping people with branding photography or figuring out their branding and marketing online, is let's not get overwhelmed. Let's break this down. Let's start small, start from the beginning. Don't look at the bigger picture. Let's just do these next few steps. So yeah, I mean, mostly for me to just keep understanding what it is that I give to people. Okay, who else was fighting for a place? Jakob.
Oh, I'll go next. Can you go a little bit, just a cursory level of how you help a company define what their USP is if they really don't know? Meaning, what about them separates them from everyone else?
Right. Well, we would start with those 3 questions, and you start by like answering them yourself, and then asking. You don't have to ask your clients. You ask, but for you actually, it would be helpful to actually ask clients that have worked with you. Now, I was thinking for me, it didn't matter so much because people. No, it doesn't matter. I'm tired. Carry on. So you'd ask your clients, you know, of their experience with you. What was it about you? You know, what made them choose you? What you know, what felt good about the process?
I guess I'm asking more to help a client figure out what their USP is, not mine per se, but
yeah,
meaning a company might say that, you know, I sell widgets, but why are my widgets better than everybody else? Because they widget. You know, there's nothing about
and I think something like I've worked with a company that they didn't have one. They honestly didn't have one, and I kept trying to get them to kind of like backdate and right, let's give you one.
Right.
Because they were copycatting another product. And that's where it comes back to that Simon Sinek concept of start with why. And it's so important. I think that leads you to the USP. And if they don't have that why, and it could just be one thing, figure out your why. Absolutely. It takes time. And if you haven't got one, you need to make one up quick.
Awesome. Any more questions? Debbie.
I don't have a question. I wanted to add something to what Jakob asked, if Sarah doesn't mind. Often it's funny, when I learned marketing in university, they always use widgets as an example, but a product like a widget, it's the same for everyone, but often it's how you sell it. It can be the service that goes with it. So it could be that you're really nice to deal with, your customer service or something. It doesn't have to be the actual product that's your unique selling point. It could be the service that comes with it, how you portray yourself, how you deal with your customers and all that. So it's like the whole package.
100%.
Right. I'd say even to add to that is that everybody says that their customer service is great. You know, what you have to go a little bit deeper than just saying that I go to the furthest mile for my clients, for my customers, and I will do whatever they need and however they need help, I'd help them along. You have to get a little bit, like Sarah said,
yeah, and
you have to go back. You have to figure out what the why is and why you're doing what you're doing so that you can help other people in the products that you're offering and services that you're selling.
I remember when we were practicing our 60 seconds, Ayala painted a picture of like, until you get your key. And that was so powerful. It's things like that, you know, that's what things like that can make you unique. You know, I'm going to hold your hand from whatever the beginning step was till the very end, because getting the key is such an emotional process that's why we all were like, oh my God, that's an amazing. So things like that, you know, it takes time to draw it out, but when you get it, you're like, okay, that's what makes me unique. Hi, Guy.
Thank you, Guy. Any more questions? Debbie? Oh, I thought you were putting your hand up.
No, I was saying goodbye to Guy,
okay.
Sorry.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So we'll put you into the breakout rooms now. It's now 3:05, so I will close these breakout rooms in 3:15. At 3:15, not in 3:15. Hold on, let me just check that everyone. Yeah. Eliezer, you're with me. That's why you don't have a place. How you doing? You're on mute, by the way.
Thank you.
How's it going? So this is your second time with this, right?
Yeah.
Well, how are you finding it?
So the breakouts are good, but the rest of the sessions generally don't seem to be particularly on, like the marketing things are not specifically for what I need.
I always say to people that you can always switch off your camera during a talk. If you want to just do some work while someone's talking, it's not a problem. As long as you're kind of respectful about it and not too obvious. It's not a huge issue. Some of the talks, the talk we meant to have today actually was about US tax. So it might have been a bit more interesting, but unfortunately the member had a family emergency, but he'll be speaking in a couple of weeks. So they are normally more spread out. It just happened to be there, marketing was quite close. But if the talk doesn't interest you, worst case, you can just, do some work or whatever it is, and it's not a problem at all. Yeah.
I feel like the breakouts are more useful to me than, in the sense that this is where I actually can take time to speak to someone and say, hey, listen, so those are really where there's a potential. The rest of it, I feel most of the time, it doesn't even seem to be that a lot of the business are even looking necessarily like when, for lawyers, I think a lot of them are, service providers, accountants.
Yes, it's about reaching out. I mean, it's really with networking, you're looking at connecting with their wider contact base. It's not necessarily the people themselves, but their clients, their friends, their contacts. And, the people like the accountants, they're amazing contacts too, because often their clients will need lawyers. So it's really about building connections with those kind of referral partners, as it were. And we have, we have insurance broker, we have, financial officer, we have a number of accountants of different breeds in Bet Shemesh, and they could be really good referral partners for you. And it really is about those breakout rooms, and the breakout rooms, it's not just about those, but about the one-to-ones that you can kind of have after the meeting as well, which is really where I encourage all the members to have one-to-ones with the other members and really get to know them, like them, and that's really where the business flows.
Right.
Essentially. But yeah, I appreciate the talk isn't always you, and I do tell people, you're welcome to kind of turn off during those talks and just do some emails if you feel that's right for you.
So my days are just so, they're so jam-packed that I don't have to, because I run my own business as opposed to being an employee. Sure. I don't have breaks. I don't give myself breaks. It's just, they're so, they're so filled that I've got to be doing something else for the work.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And, that's why with online, it means you can multitask, you can, reply to emails, it does give you that flexibility as well anyway. And the Bet Shemesh group is one of our biggest, and it's really growing, particularly with accountants and that kind of more the professional services side is a really growing sector in the Bet Shemesh group now. So that could be really exciting as well. So when did you make Aliyah?
13 years ago.
Oh, wow. And you've always been in Bet Shemesh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Whereabouts are you living?
So do you know Nofei Shemesh?
Yeah, I know like Aleph Bet Gimel.
Oh, that's Ramat Beit Shemesh.
Ah, you live in Bet Shemesh.
Yeah.
Wow, you're our first, I think, who actually.
Yeah, so it's called Givat Sharet, Nofei Aviv, and there's a lot of Anglos here. So it's not Ramat Beit Shemesh, it's more of the Haredi, and this is the last Haredi.
Oh, amazing. Our meetings actually were in Team Up, which is in Bet Shemesh. It's next to the train station.
Yeah, I know. That's Mayor's place.
Mayor he's a member as well. That's really cool. And you're happy in Bet Shemesh, obviously.
Yeah, it's got its disadvantages, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah. On the whole, it's good geography, good location between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and it's beautiful, around in the mountains. So
really beautiful. And how's it gone for you with Corona? Has it affected your business a lot?
It did to a certain degree. I had US clients, so they were thankfully still working fine because they're e-commerce. In the Israeli clients, it slowed down a bit. But I have other businesses too. I also have an import business.
Oh, wow.
I have a few things that I'm working with an e-commerce. I have a startup with my brother, which is an e-commerce platform. I don't know if you know e-commerce platforms.
Yeah, of course.
Like Magento and WooCommerce. Yeah. So this is a new platform. This is to compete with those.
Awesome.
So we're marketing right now. We're what we're doing is we're actually operating as a SaaS, and we're building sites for people, online, online stores. But the point is that other people take the software and use it, and other developers take it and use it.
Awesome. What's the advantage of your platform over kind of Magento or the other ones that are already on the market?
So Magento, for instance, I can give you numerous people who have said, developers, they describe themselves as Magento survivors. And that is because of the instability, the fickleness of the software, the lack of flexibility, and it's just the bugs, the amount of bugs in the software. And it's slow. It's very slow. So the advantage of ours is it's a new design, whereas there's what's called a monolith, where everything works in one sort of one server, one process, I'll call it processor. Our platform actually gives out the different tasks to different places. So what it does is it allows it for more flexibility, speed, which is very important in e-commerce, right? Every 1/10 of a second is important for sale. So what it does is it allows it to be scaled. So if you have 1 sale, 2 sale, 5 sales on a day, and all of a sudden tomorrow you have 1,000 sales, right? Or you have 1,000 sales a day, and all of a sudden you have 10,000 or 20,000 because you've got a major sale going on. In the regular platforms like Magento, your site will crash. If it doesn't crash, it'll be extremely slow. You'll have a lag of a couple of seconds. This one is designed so that our platform is designed so there's no impact on performance. So you don't have to pay to get a server to be able to, to anticipate 20,000 people coming, just in case, just in case that you're going to have that. The platform grows with your customers. So if you have 10 people and tomorrow you get 100 people, you don't need to invest in more space on your server to.
Oh, that's really amazing.
Yeah, and if you look, it's lightning fast. You click, the response is so quick. You click on it, and all of a sudden, it's put in your basket. And flexibility, meaning that the way we've designed is that you can do almost anything you want, front end or back end. You can make the front look whatever. There are templates that people develop for Magento, but you're limited. You can only put a button for, say, on the checkout, can only look a certain way. You have a little flexibility in Magento, but not much. In our platform, you can make your site look however you want. Really, the sky's the limit.
Amazing. And how did you build it? You had developers who did it for you, or you did it yourself?
Yeah. Well, it was my brother's. Design. He sort of architected. Do you know Green Smoke?
I don't actually know.
Oh, you don't. So, Juul.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
Altria, which is Philip Morris's parent company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're Philip Morris's Marlboro, and they bought a 30% stake in Juul, right?
Okay.
So they had bought a company in Israel called Green Smoke. Okay, so Green Smoke was electronic cigarettes based in Israel. They bought it was based in Beit Shemesh. They bought it out for $100 million. There was a bunch of Americans living in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and they expanded, and so he built their site, their e-commerce site. And so now you're talking about, millions of dollars a year in sales, tens of millions of dollars. So my brother, and he had a team of about 20 developers under him. And they were sending bug fixes to Magento. I mean, they would find bugs in Magento and send it to the Magento developers, say, hey, you guys got to fix your platform. So he had built up all these these years of experience. And he said, after Altria closed in Israel, 180 people were out of jobs. This was in 2009.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was December 2018. They closed because they bought Juul. It was part of their deal with Juul that they're going to shut down their other brands. So we started to say, hey, listen, we've got all this knowledge. We know what works, what doesn't work. We know why Magento's bad. We know there isn't an alternative out there that's anywhere near as good as, that should, something that should be out there. And so we started developing. We have a couple of developers who worked on it. We've been working on for about almost 2 years now. And it's a platform, and it's, so long term, it's supposed to be a platform that other developers take and use. But to get out there, people need to get, see what it is. So right now we're offering is sort of like a SaaS. So right now, small businesses ask, oh, can you build us an e-commerce store? So we do that, and we host it ourselves too.
Oh, amazing. And you have like hosting capabilities, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, of course we do it. We host it. Well, even better than that, we don't keep the hosting here. We use obviously outsource hosting. What we do is we check speeds. So we search for the best servers out there for speed. So we compared Israeli servers and European ones. We found that there's certain European ones which are actually faster than Israeli ones for Israeli businesses. So we're hosting right now in Europe just because it will be faster for the clients. The response time was a few tenths of a second.
Amazing. Wow, that's brilliant. It makes such a difference. The speed. I had really bad hosting for my website, so I moved it, and it makes such a difference. Like, it really increases the speed, the SEO, the user experience. It's major. It really has such a positive impact. Wow, that's fantastic. And so then for that business, you're looking to speak more with developers, I guess.
So we're looking for developers, but right now the short term, we're just looking for any business that wants to sell online. And they want a platform. They don't want to use Wix. This isn't for the mom and pop shop that's going to sell. There people want to use Wix, and they're happy because they could do drag and drop. This isn't drag and drop.
Yeah, it's more advanced.
This is enterprise level, meaning even if you were to use Shopify at enterprise level, you can't get all the information that you want. Shopify doesn't give you everything. Our platform gives everything. We don't even keep any of the information. We don't get any of the PII of the personal information, which people like. It's, fully PCI compliant as well, GDPR. So all of the information gets kept by the customer information gets kept by the store, right? As if they're hosting it themselves.
Fantastic, great. Because I mean, that's also something you could kind of advertise to ESN if you wanted as well, about looking to work with serious e-commerce as well. We do have, in particular in Tel Aviv, we have quite a few big companies. Yeah, so once you join, you can kind of visit all the groups included in the price. So if you wanted to come along to the Tel Aviv group, then I think there you'd find a lot of people who could have good contacts for you. A lot of them have wives and husbands who work in high tech, and a lot of them, and some of them themselves are in that world also. Right. So it definitely could be, I think, relevant also for that as well, and you'd be able to do that also.
Right. Yeah. The problem is that you have to find the decision makers. It's
it's not as simple, but it's always, the way that these things are built is through people knowing people. That's how the world goes around, and that's how these decisions are made, is through finding those decision makers.
So it might be better for my brother to join this because it's, I work with him, we're partners in it, but from my legal profession, I feel it's a little less, I'm getting a little less in terms of the, although maybe the Tel Aviv group might be better in terms of networking. I find this less relevance for a lot of the people here. I mean, I used to work at the big firms in Tel Aviv. That's what I used to.
What field do you specialize in?
So I do corporate and commercial. So it's anywhere from, corporate will be just your corporation and your investments, but mainly I do commercial stuff, which.
So you already have someone who does that, but you'd be welcome to come along and try our Herzliya group if you wanted to, which is fairly financial focused as well and more service. And you'd be welcome to come along to that and see if that's more up your alley, if that's of interest.
Right. When I say commercial, I mean commercial means anything and everything.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that.
Like, even rent, even leasing your premises. That's commercial stuff. No, supply and online stuff. And the sad thing is that when I worked in the firms, you realize you're going to be paying a lot of money, but the people doing the work are usually the mitmachim.
Yeah.
You're going to be getting stagiaires doing the work. You're going to be getting first, second year associates who don't really know what they're doing.
Sure. We can discuss, but yeah, you'd be very welcome to try out the Herzliya group if you wanted, but I'll drop you an email later with more information.
Yeah.
I'm so